This right here is the OnePlus 9 Pro, the company's flagship offering. At its launch, the device was hyped quite a lot, especially due to the Hasselblad partnership for the cameras and being one of the first phones with the Snapdragon 888 chipset. But 5 months later, with all the new flock of smartphones in the market, how good of an option is the 9 Pro? Is it still worth it? Let's find out. This is Varun from Guiding Tech Reviews or GTR, and you're watching my long-term review of the OnePlus 9 Pro after 5 months. Let's get started. Alright, so kicking things off, let's start with the design. Now I have with me the Morning Mist design, which is, well, easily the most boring color option of the lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is still a very attractive design, but if you compare it with the other options like the green and the stellar black, this thing looks inferior for sure. I mean, if you are in the market and you are interested in the 9 Pro, please get the stellar black version. That is top-notch quality. Now talking about the overall design, it's easy to hold and the whole device just curves inside your palm, and that's a great feeling. At 197 grams, it's not the most lightweight device on paper, but the ergonomics of the device make it really good in hand. It's also IP68 rated along with Gorilla Glass 5, and the protection has held up quite well. That being said, I do wish that this thing, because it's a flagship product, I genuinely wish it came with Gorilla Glass Victus. See, it's one of its biggest competitors, the Galaxy S21 series does come with Gorilla Glass Victus, and that is one phone that I used without a screen guard. With the 9 Pro, I had to keep using one, at least for the front. As for the back, well, you can see how that ends up. Also, there's a lot of discussion around flat screens versus curved screens like this one. And I have to say, while I agree that the curved screen is definitely more prone to damages and is going to be a bit more fragile, you just cannot deny the fact that this thing just feels far more comfortable to use. And the fact that the swipe gestures on Android just work seamlessly and so smoothly on this really add on to the whole experience. Speaking of which, the display here is absolutely top notch. Now there have been folks who have talked about a greenish tint or a black crush issue. Personally, I face neither. The display is absolutely crisp, works at Quad HD 120Hz with zero lags, and everything looks great on this, whether it's the streaming apps or the stunning images I click. The images that I click, thanks to that Hasselblad partnership. Okay, so the OnePlus 9 Pro is the first phone in a very long run of companies launching phones that actually has a reliable camera. Now, I recently did a long-term review of the OnePlus Nord 2 that has recently launched, and I did say that I prefer the processing of the Nord 2 as opposed to the 9 Pro, at least for the still shots. And while I still stand by it, I will not deny the fact that this is still a quite reliable camera. Now, what do I mean by that? See, the shots are almost always good and well detailed. And if there's ever anything that I do not like in the shots, I can easily post-edit them without losing clarity. And that's in the normal JPEGs. The Pro mode on this is absolutely great. And if you're someone who likes to capture images in RAW, the 10-bit RAW image support on this is something that comes in super handy. The videos are crisp, and while I've never shot in the 8K mode that this phone supposedly supports, the 4K footages are great, and the dynamic HDR is definitely the cherry on top. Okay, so let's talk about performance for a bit, because I have a lot to say. Obviously, on paper, the phone comes with flagship specs, and that's great. But it's the software that lets it down. Or maybe the optimization. Or maybe both. Let me explain. See, individually, the apps work great. Everything is super smooth and lag-free. Games run at the highest settings possible, no hiccups. The problem is there with the software. This thing launched with a lot of bugs. And while OnePlus has fixed some of them, even after 5 months, I still face issues almost every day. For starters, while the company has fixed the overheating notification for most part, it still heats up quite quickly as compared to the other Snapdragon 888 phones, even while performing decent tasks such as using the maps for navigation. Gaming is another area where the performance is great, but I do experience slight heating after about 40 to 50 minutes. Another bug that's super annoyed me is this proximity sensor right here. Okay, so this has been a constant bug amongst a lot of OnePlus devices, especially the first gen Nord and even the OnePlus 7T, but it's there on the flagship OnePlus 9 Pro as well. So the issue that I've been facing on my device is that half the time, if I take it out of my pocket, it still thinks that the sensor is covered and it still has the pocket mode enabled. Then there are times when I'm on the call, I take the phone out and the screen is still black because it still thinks that it's touching my ear or something like that. The worst of it all is that, okay, I am someone who uses my phone at a set custom brightness. I do not refer to automatic brightness. Even then, what happens is, if my phone is in my pocket, there will be times when I take it out and the screen will be dimmed to absolutely zero. Even when the screen slider shows that the max brightness has been turned on. It's just stupid and annoying. And obviously, these are software bugs and OnePlus can fix them. But even after 5 months, they haven't been fixed. The weird part here is that Oxygen OS still remains the fluidest skin out there for my liking, which is why I kinda tolerate these slight inconveniences. That being said, I haven't paid for this phone. If I was an actual customer who spent 65,000 on a OnePlus 9 Pro and even after 5 months, these bugs were still not well fixed, I would be super pissed. Lastly, there's the battery. Wired or wireless, the OnePlus 9 Pro charges very quickly. As for the battery life, I use the phone at Quad HD 120Hz and the device easily gives me 5 hours of screen on time in 1 day of use. That's really good, and I will admit that battery life has definitely improved from what it was at the launch. So yeah, no complaints here. So starting at rupees 64,999, still no sale, no discounts, the OnePlus 9 Pro is a flagship phone through and through. No doubts about that. However, should you still be investing in the 9 Pro? Well, let's look at the competition. The phone's direct competitor is obviously the Galaxy S21 Plus, which retails for about the same price. And the S21 Plus offers a better design, better build quality, has a very good camera setup, but then again has the Exynos chipset. In all fairness, Samsung has worked a lot on the Exynos, and the Exynos 2100 is a very capable chipset, but it is no better than OnePlus's 888 chipset here, at least in terms of thermals and heating. So yeah, that's also out. But then I got to thinking, do you really need to spend that much on a flagship? See, there are a lot of folks out there in the market who just want a performance-centric device, who just want a Snapdragon 888 device. And if that's someone who you are, then there are plenty of options from the newly launched likes of the iQOO 7 Legend, the Mi 11X Pro, or even the Realme GT. They're all Snapdragon 888 phones, do a far better job in terms of thermals as compared to the OnePlus 9 Pro, and cost you quite less. I mean, around 40,000, those three phones are pretty good. Obviously, they're performance-focused phones. Cameras are not as good as a OnePlus 9 Pro. But yeah, I mean, they're still great phones. I can definitely consider them over the 9 Pro or the Galaxy S21, especially if you're a performance enthusiast. For what it's worth, the 9 Pro does offer premium experience, but there are some ifs and buts here and there. I still continue to use it because, like I said, I like the OS, I like the whole experience, but the bugs do annoy me at times. So yeah, there's that. And well, that was it. Actually, that's not it. We're also doing a giveaway of the OnePlus Nord 2, the highest variant, and you can enter the giveaway simply by checking out the details down in the description box. It's a simple giveaway for our first 10,000 subscribers, so go ahead, check it out, and all the best of luck. And that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Varun from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.